We are rolling.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Creative Businessmen. On today's episode, we have comedian Pat McLeod with us.
Hey there.
Hey, Pat. Good to have you here, man. Where are you from?
Here. I mean, originally, Lumberton, but I've been in Greensboro 20 years, so
Okay.
here.
Oh, so you were, how long did you live in Lumberton?
Till I was 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a tough area.
I got the stink off. It's, no, I hate Lumberton. Yeah, but no, that's where I grew up.
Okay,
Small
cool.
town.
Yeah.
Small town values, which I now realize are by and large toxic values.
Really high crime rate there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they killed Michael Jordan's dad, for nothing. Just,
Oh, yeah.
I said, fuck this guy.
Yeah, my wife has some family in Lumberton.
Mm-hmm.
We do some business down that way with some clients, some consulting, but yeah,
Okay.
it's turned into an interesting relationship there.
Yeah, I don't want to mess up your business. Like, it's being controversial right out of the gate.
No, it's shit.
That's not controversial.
It's a shit area.
It's a tough area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Asheboro, and my family lives there, so
Yeah.
it's small town values, which I think are definitely what it.
Does anybody else, I confuse the two Ashes. I forget which one's the good one.
Asheville
And
is
Ash-
definitely
that's
more.
mountains.
I always have to think for a minute. Someone will be like, hey, you want to go to Asheville? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, Asheboro.
Which one's the golfer and which one played the Joker? That's
So I like Asheboro. That's where we grew up. It used to be a really good town when we were kids. There were a lot of opportunities there. A lot of big manufacturing companies were there. Like Haynes Corporate was there, and Goodyear Tire, and
Sara Lee.
several furniture companies.
well, that's the same with High Point. High Point had all the furniture companies, and
oh
they
yeah,
left.
this whole region. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the 90s, the trading rooms passed, and then most of those businesses were gone by 2000. And then those small towns like that, now they're just riddled with opioid addiction because there's no opportunities.
Yep,
You know what they should do? They should open some opioid shops.
I agree.
Just every furniture store should just be like a mom and pop opioid.
Yeah,
There you go.
place.
Yeah.
that's
Sure, that would be successful.
Mom and pill pop. That's what it is.
That's funny.
Cartman had an episode, South Park, which I don't watch, by the way, but I just happened to watch a clip, right?
It's okay if you do watch it.
Yeah, I just don't really watch TV.
I was
I love
walking through
South
the
Park.
room and I tripped over the remote and I couldn't reach it and it fell into my eyeballs. But I'm not a
It was hilarious. So it's like Cartman's at the clinic, and I'm like, oh, it's for what? Opioid? No, it was for KFC. He was having withdrawals, so they were giving him gravy, and it was an itty bitty cup of gravy, and he's like, oh, what the fuck,
Yeah.
So I was like, that's opioid right there. That's what it is. They give you just a taste. You didn't get the fried chicken. What's up?
What's addiction? Addiction is not usually
Yeah,
the problem. It's usually a result of a problem.
true.
Whether it's, yeah. I mean, people, usually if they're addicted to something, that means they're trying to escape something that's worse,
Yeah,
or at least worse to them.
Right.
But,
Or, there can also be a genetic component. Some
that's
people
true. Yeah, it's part of it.
just got that in their bits, as we say in the medical profession.
So how did you get into comedy?
I think hold on real quick. I want to do this because it'll be weird if we're an hour into this. What's your name?
fair enough. Daniel.
Daniel. Okay. And no.
We'll do intros. I'm Neil Hoover, and this is.
Daniel Story.
There you go.
All right. Cool. No. I got into comedy the exact way everybody else did. I always wanted to do it. Then I started going to a mic, and I saw that it existed. No one has a good got into comedy story. It's the mafia was after me, and I needed to hide, and I ran into a place where an open mic was, and I had to go on stage so they wouldn't find me, and I had to pretend to be a comic, and people liked it, so I just kept doing that. No, it's
That
always
sounds like that show Barry.
I have not seen that.
Oh, it's kind of what happens. He's a hitman, and he has to join this acting class because one of his targets is in the class,
Oh, okay.
and he gets really into acting.
That sounds really good.
It's a great show.
I think I just got my opening line for when I start doing stand-up at the open mics. I'm going to come in. I'm going to tell people that the mafia is after me. And what do you think? You think I can pull it off? I like your story. I
probably
like your
not.
story.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Don't.
It could be fun.
No, what do you like? We're just gonna. I'm not even the. I'll be a host with you because I want to know David's story here. What do you,
Daniel?
What do you say?
I just like to eat KFC. Apparently,
Okay.
watch Cartman. South Park.
Because I messaged Neil. I wanted to be on this thing because literally, like, all of my friends are on it. Every time I go to the computer, I see a new clip. It's like, there's Alex. There's Jake. There's Dusty.
I can't
there's
believe we
Reed.
haven't had you on yet. Yeah.
I didn't even get invited. I had to message you and be like, hey, you think you could invite me to this thing?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I thought we shared a moment at the Robbins show. I thought,
Yeah, I need to bring you back on with Dusty sometime too. We need to do a nighttime show.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
This is such, like, it's more professional than anything I've been on, at least in terms of, like, there's girders and a big screen and a logo with both of you on it.
Yeah.
And, like, nobody's watching. Like I'll check YouTube and it'll be like 3 views, 5 views, 4 views. Like, how do we, like, I'm now, like, we're workshopping this.
So we knew when we started this show that it would take a while to build it up. And we've got, I think we're close to 400 subscribers now.
That's good.
And we're probably around 30,000 views on the channel.
Okay.
So some episodes do really well. It depends on who the guest is a lot of times.
Right.
But we want to bring on all types of creative entrepreneurs and artists, no matter what their following size is, because just based on their talent. Because if there's a lot of talented people that no one would really know about unless they have some platform.
Me.
And
like, nobody, like.
Yeah, you're a good comic.
But, yeah, I don't have a following.
But, yeah, so the goal is to help other artists develop and entrepreneurs
really
develop
cool.
a following.
Yeah.
But we knew with our show it would be a slow rise. But the goal of the studio is to produce other content. So that's why we're working with Eric, producing his show.
Right, the room there.
Probably start next month, and then we've got another creator. We're going to start producing his podcast, and they have they're
animated shorts.
Yeah, one of the guys has a pretty big following, and then we're working on an animated series.
No, this is all good stuff.
And then some other, we're going to shoot comedy specials. So eventually, the channel will get traction and take off. Yeah,
yeah. And I think what I like about this show is that it exists, and most comedy projects don't. Like it's a common thing for me to get suddenly a group message on Messenger of 10 guys like, hey, I'm starting this. Whatever, we're doing a comedy YouTube channel where we watch video games and we smoke weed and we say funny things, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I'll be all over that. And then nothing happens, and then a week later I'll get another one from, usually it's the same 9 people again. It's like, hey, we're trying this new thing where we find trees in the neighborhood and we carve jokes into them, and then we put it on Instagram, and then they put that on Pinterest, and I'm like, all right, that sounds awesome. I'm all over that. And then nothing happens. It's just so. This is already happening. This is real.
Well, that's a phenomenon. So there's a thing where some people can think of an idea, and they get a dopamine hit from that idea. They get real excited.
Oh, that's me. I come up with 10 ideas a day, and I can jerk off to each one of them, and I'm good. I don't even need to tell people about them.
It's like they're rewarding themselves before they actually do anything or take any initiative, and that's you have to be careful of that, and even we have to be aware of that.
You can poke your eye out. So. I hope you wear your glasses during.
Well, yeah, for sure.
No, I don't take any initiative with any. I don't.
Well, that's not completely
I have
true.
the idea, and then I just sit for a minute. It's like, God, I'm great, and then I just go about my day like it surges through me, and then I'm good.
That's funny.
Yep.
So, how many years have you been doing comedy?
10 years and 2 months.
Wow,
but there's a few asterisks in there. Obviously, I took off, the pandemic.
COVID,
I mean, that still, the year happened, but I didn't do anything. And even before that, I had actually just gotten back in 6 months before the pandemic after a 3-year break.
Oh, okay, wow.
So, even in my prime, I just, at the time I had a wife and kids. I still have kids, but not as many wives. 0 now, if I remember correctly. But that takes up a lot of energy. And so
Sure.
I never dove into comedy with both feet.
Yeah.
Ever. At no point was I like hitting a mic every night?
Yeah. Are you? What about now?
Still no. Because now I still have. I got a lot happening. I got like my kids. I got my girlfriend. I got her kids. I got my job, and just.
So how many kids do you have?
I have 3 and she has 3.
Wow.
So all girls.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how old are your kids?
My oldest is 14, and then 12, and then 8.
Okay. Well, what is your day job?
I teach at Guilford Tech. I teach English.
Oh, nice. Sweet. That's cool. Are you trying to? I know you've been booking some shows and stuff. Are you trying to get back on the road or?
I don't. Again, when I say I have no initiative, I mean I don't book anything.
You need a manager.
Do you want to do that? I
don't want to do that.
No. Every show I've ever been on, since I've known you, I think every single one of them has just been Dusty saying, "Do you want to be on a show?"
Wow.
So I guess he's my manager.
Yeah, kind of.
Or he's just a dude that likes me. That's,
Both.
So I'm guessing you didn't take the initiative for the divorce. It was the ex-wife.
Oh, no, I took that initiative.
Fair enough.
I did. I did 18 years. I was like, all right, this is where this is going to be. Like, if you read like 3/4 of a book, you're like, all right, I know I don't need to read the rest of this. I know where it's going. So,
yeah, it depends on the book, I guess.
This book was kind of an asshole.
So I'm guessing the new girlfriend's much better.
Oh, God. I'm so ridiculously in love.
That's awesome.
I met, here's the next hour is just going to be me talking about Katie, and we'll deal with that. No. It's funny because I got out of the marriage, and 3 months after I moved out, I had said, all right, I did, I had fought off the apps. Like, I'm not going to get on the apps, which is dumb because why not? So I downloaded, every single dating app there was. I did that horny thing where you set your radius for 500 miles. It's someone in West Virginia thinks I'm cute. What's the price of gas right now? But I downloaded everything. I matched with her almost immediately, and I deleted all the apps a week and a half later. I was all right, I'm there. This is what I want. And so
Was she from West Virginia?
No, she's originally from Long Island.
I've met Katie. She's really nice.
Yeah, she's the best.
Nice lady.
Yeah. A swell gal.
There you go. Yeah.
A real dame, that Katie. It's just euphemisms the whole way out. She's a real looker, I tell you.
Real catch.
Hey.
She's a doll.
So do you have any shows booked or anything now or lined up?
I think I've got your. Am I the?
Yeah, that's right. At the comic book store.
I'm asking you because again, this is the level of certainly not indifference, but just I can't keep up with my own life. And so I'll occasionally just get a message and be like, oh, I'm on this.
What's the thing about creative people? If you're the right brain, left brain, which is kind of debunked, but there's still something to it. More creative people. If you're very creative, then it's harder to be structured. So typically people that are just all on the creative side, they have trouble finding structure, executing their creativity. Fortunately, I'm kind of in the middle, so I can kind of go analytical or creative.
And we need again, I was saying this to Alex Stone, and it's you as well. We need the people the adults in the room. I'm not that. I don't know how to be that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember to brush my teeth most days. That's how far up my own head I am. And
you're really funny, dude. You've got to get out there. People need to see it.
They deserve it.
Yeah.
I owe them.
You deserve it, man.
I do. No, I love every show I'm ever on.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm grateful for the people who, again, Dusty, Alex, the friends I have and you, of course, and that show. I'm entirely grateful because I'm not going to do any of that stuff because I don't know how. And I just one of the things I did was immediately after leaving my marriage, I went and sought out an ADHD diagnosis. And so I went in and took all the tests, and I got the high score, I think. It's not even ADHD. It's like 90 HD. Like it's
Broke
10
a
more
record.
than
Yeah.
the usual.
That's funny. So how does that affect you?
Well, I tried medication like a half dozen times, and it's never worked well. I've had like Adderall gave me what we call in the business nope rope.
What does that mean?
That means my penis didn't work.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say I
That's
think Parker said something.
Oh, really? You know, I tried Adderall one time. A friend of mine gave me one of his.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm sure I'm a little ADHD or ADD, and but I've heard of a lot of writers using it, and you know it helps you focus and all this stuff. So I thought, well, I'll try it, and I took a half of the one he gave me, and it was insane. I was like, this is intense. Like I didn't like it.
Yeah, that's actually, I mean, I think that's the way you know you have ADHD is I get so confused with all the medicines because, you know, they'll write me this prescription and then I'll go to Walgreens and Walgreens is like, well, we got to get prior authorization from your provider, and then they'll do that. And then I'll go back to Walgreens and like, well, this is a controlled substance, so we need to see your ID and we need you to piss into our ear and this and that. And there's all these loops. And so when I finally get it, this stuff is probably some pretty potent stuff. Then I take it and I'm able to sit for slightly longer. Like, why are they, for me, it's not a hardcore drug. It's not a party drug. It's nothing. It's like I'm a little better at reading a book.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It was
Marginally better. Like
Yeah.
I can, but some things gave me anxiety. Some things gave me this. Some things gave me like, and so now I'm off of everything and I'm raw dogging life. And it's helpful that Katie has it as well. And so there's that understanding
yeah.
that, hey, the thing where I leave every kitchen cabinet open, even when I'm not using them, that's because of that. And she's like, oh, well, that's why I do this and that. And so we'll step over our own piles of laundry and we'll, and
You never finish conversations.
oh God, no.
Forget what you're arguing about.
No, it's because there will be times where both of us are on our phones, both of us are talking, and both of us are interrupting at such a steady click, and we're in the zone. That's how we communicate.
Yeah.
As you know, she's flicking Angry Birds, and we've got 9 conversations going at once, and it's very erratic, and it's very, but everything's landing where it's supposed to.
That's
so.
cool. It's like you're like the dust ball in the cartoons where like you see like arms coming out of it occasionally and stuff.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's cool. Well, as long as it works and you're both happy with it, that's
Yeah.
what matters. There's no rules. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I did get into something of an anxiety spike just at various points during COVID because, well, to bring it back to Katie, she has a number of health issues. She has multiple sclerosis.
Oh.
She has ankylosing spondylosis, which is like a deterioration of the spine. Like she's got some shit going on.
Yeah.
And so when this pandemic started, like as careful as the most careful people were, we were probably even more so.
Yeah.
Like I was like, because I was like, you know, I can probably beat this shit. Like I won't taste stuff for a month or like, you know, something that happened. But this could ground you. So I just met you. I met her like 2 months before all this started.
Wow.
I was like, I don't want to kill you right after I fell in love. Like, let's see
It's
where
too soon, right?
Yeah, no, you want to kill your girlfriend like a few decades in. So
Less suspicious that way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
no, but I'm sitting there like opening doorknobs with my elbows and, you know, swiping my credit card with my toes and spraying myself down. And I'm like, I'm not going to fucking get this shit. And so, but again, it was also a huge source of worry because, you know, when I did have to go out in the world, you know, I'd go to Target or something and there'd be some guy, no mask, just coughing. And I could see COVID's coming out of his mouth. I was like, I mean, they say they're microscopic, but if you squint, I was like, that's a fucking coronavirus right there. I had to swat at it. And so, yeah. But, you know, the anxiety came up. I finally, it hit a point where I was like, all right, I got to do something about this shit. It was getting debilitating. Like I would have days where I wouldn't leave the bed. So I tried, I tried Prozac. Yeah. And that didn't work. Prozac did two things, which one, it took away my appetite entirely, and two, it made me gain weight, which is that's
weird.
Yeah, like
Wow.
like I took it for like 3 weeks, and I remember a couple of days after I started taking it, we went to a Puerto Rican restaurant because Katie's also Puerto Rican, and we ordered these things. They were the best looking food I'd ever seen. I was like, oh, that looks so good. I don't want any of it. And I hadn't eaten all day, and I was just like, and yet I would step on the scale, and I would be like, I'm getting a little chunkier than I was a week ago and 2 weeks ago. And so essentially, as far as I can tell, what Prozac does is it turns into 6 donuts as soon as you eat it. That's just it.
How did it affect you cognitively?
Well, you have to take it for like a month to really for it to kick in, and I think I stopped just before, but also my anxiety kind of started waning on its own.
That's good, yeah.
And so I've kind of been okay lately. I was about to say I've got some herbal stuff, but that seems like a very wink. I'm talking about marijuana, but I'm really talking about like herbal stuff, like L-theanine.
All medications come from nature, so yeah.
Yeah.
Prozac is pretty weird. I was on it for like over a year, and I didn't notice anything. I didn't notice anything that it did to me, but my friends sure did. They said, Jesse, just acting like you're just going through the motions
Just
of
on
a
autopilot.
zombie. It just sort of did that to me. I thought they were crazy because I didn't really feel different. But then one day when I was driving to school, I had a full night of sleep, pounding Mountain Dew, everything, coffee, fine. You know, I fell asleep about 6 times behind the wheel on a 2-hour drive on the
Whoa.
interstate. Ran a guy off the road, all kind of stuff. Luckily, I didn't die. No one got hurt. I got yelled at, which I should have been yelled at. But
Yeah.
he went on, and I quit it cold turkey right there. But it was a weird kind of thing.
I feel like by the 4th time I've fallen asleep on the road, that's. I mean, that is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can die from quitting SSRIs like that, though, right?
Right. I don't
think
know.
it's dangerous, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it can.
Cause seizures or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, not seizures even. It can just feel really shitty. Like,
I know you can't come off of,
Heroin.
probably. Well, I think people can come off of heroin.
they?
Yeah, they'll just be sick. But you can't come off of, like Valiums. What is it? Benzodiazepine, stuff like that.
Benzos.
That and what's the other one that's anxiety drug? It's
Mellow Yellow, I think.
Yeah.
no, it's
I'm sponsored. I'm sorry. I have to say that like 4 more times.
Valiums and what's the other one?
You talking about pep pills? I can't think of the name.
No, a lot of people take it for anxiety though. It's common. I can't think what it's called, but those types of medications, if people come off them like just cold turkey, they can have severe seizures and die. It's the same effect that alcohol has. So like if you're an alcoholic and you just stop drinking completely, you can die. It's really dangerous. You have to wean yourself off of it.
I heard if you catch COVID though, while you're doing it, while you're weaning yourself off it, it'll kill the alcoholism.
I don't know about that, but if you died from it, you'd be a COVID death.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I guess if you're stable and you're not taking any medication for the anxiety and stuff, that's good. That's preferable, you know.
Yeah, like
And I think as a comic, anything that's mind altering, at least long term, could be problematic.
yeah. In fact, I remember the last time we did the comic shop show. I think I can't remember if you were there for the last one or not. I know Katie was there.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because Zoe, me, you, I hosted that show, and I was so not well. Like I was so anxious. I was so deep in it.
Yeah.
Like I think I did 3 minutes up top. I came out. I was like, "Hey, how's everybody doing?" And I was like, all right, boy, life is weird, and I can feel back sweat forming. And I was like, "All right, well, here's your first comic." Ah.
You know, it's funny, and I now that you mentioned that, I noticed a big difference between you then and when we were at that show in Robbins.
That was also a very different show.
Very
Night and
different,
day.
very weird, but it was cool. It was fun. But you crushed there. Like it was a packed crowd, but it was a strange atmosphere.
Oh, they was rowdy. They were.
But they loved you, and it was impressive to see what you did. That was really cool. Because most of what you did was just
riffing.
Yeah, you just riffed for
That's what they
several
wanted.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really good. It's very impressive.
Yeah, me and Mike Rinaldi just had
Yeah.
a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, his stuff was really funny too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was awesome. But that's the first time I've seen you really just cut loose and you felt free, or you looked like you felt free.
I did, yeah. No,
Yeah.
there are shows where you'll hit a point and you'll be like, I'm actually good for the next hour. Like I've hit, because I'm not doing material, I'm just responding to what's happening in the room. As long as stuff keeps happening in the room, that was a show where the girl like pulled her shirt up.
Oh, really? I didn't remember that.
You didn't catch that?
Well, I was in the very back of the room, so was
Yeah,
it
her
somebody-
tits were closer to the front. No, like
apparently.
here's what was happening, because
I do remember that. Yes, the older lady that was
Yeah.
kind of on, yeah. Okay, I do remember that. Yeah, that's funny.
I was riffing, and I had said, I had never been in a bar fight. And I was like, I want to get in a bar fight tonight. I want to get, and then the woman just says, hey, and I look, and she just pulls her shirt up. And I'm like, what is this?
That must be the best way to stop a bar fight.
I didn't know, because it had nothing to do with what I was saying, but she seemed pleased with herself.
That's funny.
And then last week, I was at the Robbins show again. I did a second one.
Okay.
And I was outside talking to Reed, and I was telling him the story. And the woman sitting there just says, I know who that was. I know all the tits in this town. It's like the two best tits are this one person, this other person. The one who showed your tits, that's the second person.
That's funny. Wow. How was the second show there?
Not as good.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to start coming out to Robbins. I think
It's
I'm just
a
saying
whole thing.
Well, it's such a small town. It may be like a one time. Maybe it should be like a once a year deal.
No, like
I mean, but if there's people ranking tits and
Oh.
they know, I mean, like this has got to be a very common occurrence there. Like, maybe I'm in the wrong, the wrong.
I think they're just maybe excited about a comedy show there.
that's it. Is they don't
Yeah.
have anything else. Like
Yeah.
like the pool until we came, the pool table was the number one attraction in town.
Yeah.
So we are ranked just above that table in terms of reasons to come to Robbins. That and the chicken pizza place. Do you remember seeing that?
I
sign?
do remember that sign. Yeah.
There's a sign of just, it's a chicken holding up a pizza, and the restaurant is fried chickens, pizza, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, pick a lane, guys. So
It's-
it's like a burrito holding a sushi roll.
the town's too
basically.
small to have a chicken place and a pizza place.
Yeah.
So you got to
So-
consolidate them, and then you've got a good business. Yeah.
No, you didn't tell me you got flashed.
It wasn't me. It was him.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you see, or did you just saw the reflection?
Well,
in his eyes?
I was in the back of the room, so I could see the lady. I could see what she was doing, but I couldn't see.
Yeah.
But she still had her bra or something.
She had
on.
like a purple bra.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a total flash.
Swimming outfit.
She just had giant boobs. So
Yeah, they were spilling a little there.
Yeah.
But she was like, I'd put her at like late 50s maybe.
yeah.
I mean, but I don't remember that well. But
Yeah.
also, like, if she's listening to this and she's like 29.
It is Robin. So
Well,
Like
you had the
a
lights in
very
your face.
weathered 29, yeah. Just skin like a Naugahyde table.
people age regionally.
That's true.
Yeah.
Facts.
Like, basically, you take a picture of yourself before and after the Robbins show. It's like when they show the president on the first and last day of their term.
Oh yeah. You come out with a white beard.
Yeah.
Experience some stuff. It was a fun show though. It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
I think if we
Crowd
gotta,
was great.
we got to find one positive thing, and not that I only can find one, but if I'm trying to find one positive thing about Trump and his presidency, is I think he's the only one that looked younger at the end of the presidency than he did in the beginning, or the presidency that he did in the beginning.
That may be
From
true,
that
actually.
picture.
No, yeah, no. Because
So he didn't give a
hard
shit.
work ages you and stress ages you, and he did neither of those.
Well, sociopaths aren't affected by emotions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw his picture. I was like, I think he looks younger. And then I was watching a clip from like 20 years ago, and like, he looks younger today than he did then. He's got more hair. What happened?
That's funny.
Yeah, so who knows?
They can do amazing things now with plastic surgery. And
That's true.
Just
everything
wait.
Else, you know.
That's true.
Yeah, 10 years we might look in our 30s again.
Yeah.
Well, you are your 30s, but me and you. How old are you?
42.
Yeah, I thought you were
How old are
talking
you?
about 41.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We look good.
He's the young guy in the room.
Yes, I just turned 37.
Oh, just a baby.
I know. I know.
No, but we are technically Gen Xers, and you're technically a millennial, so
Yeah.
Very true.
we're not even on the same planet.
No, yeah, totally different. Yeah.
I think that I'm at such the top end of it that,
You seem like a Gen Xer.
yeah. I mean,
You're an elder millennial.
Well, we grew up in Asheboro, so we're on a different time scale
that's
than,
true.
than
That's
most
true.
people. That's
And I
what we were
don't.
just talking about.
And there's some. What's the generation after millennial? The
It's the Z, right?
Gen Z, yeah.
Gen
that's
Z,
that's
and then
my
there's-
kids.
And what's
Yeah.
the current generation is what? Like my daughter would be.
How old's your daughter?
She's 5. I think it's a different one.
I
May
think
still be Gen Z though.
it may be the end of Gen because it's 20 years. A generation's 20
That's
years.
right. She's
so-
got to be Gen Z still.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I've heard it said that the generation coming up after her, so the people being born now, are quite appropriately Generation C, the COVID generation, which is
Okay.
a whole generation of kids that were born and were not able to be held by their grandparents for the first year. And I mean, I saw a thing on
yeah.
the Tiki Talkies the other day, where it was a like a 2-year-old child, and their parents took them to the mall. And the mall had a tiled floor, and and there was a line of differently colored tiles, and the kid was scared to walk on them because they had never seen tiles. They had been indoors. They had been
Weird.
social
Wow.
distancing and isolating, and so
Yeah.
imagine being 2 years old the first time you see floor tiles.
Or faces.
Right. And so I think we're going to see the effect of kids who spent their first year of life in that very limited worldview.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, since it was just a year, they'll be okay. Like they'll adapt.
Oh, yeah.
Humans adapt
They're not
quickly.
going to be like Jodie Foster's Nell or something. They're going to.
A whole year, like a whole portion of a generation of just crazy people. Yeah.
So, did you guys hear about Facebook by chance?
Oh yeah.
Like what happened? So, what do you guys speculate? Like you think it was just hackers that took? I know the whistleblower stuff what happened, but do you think it was just a random hack that happened conveniently at the same time? Or
I
what do you
read
think?
something about it yesterday. It sounded like it was an internal mistake, an error.
Right?
they
Yeah,
made.
yeah. But it's interesting
Because it apparently the employees at Facebook couldn't even get in the building. Like their key cards,
Right.
everything was
Uh-huh.
down, so nothing worked.
right? But it's interesting.
It is interesting.
It's an interesting coincidence, but I mean, the idea
Yeah.
that Facebook purposely pulled the plug because of the bad press over
Right.
the
Doesn't
leak.
really make sense.
Right. I mean, one, every second they were down, they were losing more money than the
Right.
leak would ever have cost
Right.
them.
Sure.
Yeah, and also they're prepared for that sort of stuff anyway. Like when they get questioned by the Congress and stuff like that,
The Congress didn't bust down Zuckerberg's door and hey, we
No.
have questions now.
Well, they don't know what they're asking them anyway. Like they ask these stupid questions, and you'll see Zuckerberg just sitting there like, "What are these idiots doing?" Like it's like they're on a completely different plane.
Right.
They have no understanding of what they're asking.
Well, the plane that they're on is being a bunch of 80-year-olds.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also they're not good people either. It's all fake. So they don't care.
No.
They're just trying to find a way to regulate a big company so they can make money off of it. That's really
That's it. I mean,
all that
nothing-
stuff's about power and control.
Like nothing that they disclosed was really a big surprise. It just seemed like, well, those are the places we can go legitimately now as a business, and we're going to exploit that. And then people are like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then then things happen. But,
The only thing I agree with from a political standpoint on issues regarding social media would be that all social media platforms that reach a certain scale
yeah,
should become a utility. But at the same time, that just means that they would have to follow our laws as a society for things like censorship and freedom of speech and stuff like
Right.
that. And I think that's important because I think once you reach a certain percentage of the population, you kind of have different levels of responsibility. But at the same time, I don't want the government coming in and saying exactly what they can or can't do either.
Right.
I think I would limit it to it's a utility. You have to follow the guidelines of the Constitution,
Right.
and that's it. Like we can't, they can't impose anything else onto them.
I like that.
Because I think then it could be easily manipulated by the government.
Yeah, you don't want that.
To sway people based on whatever the current political atmosphere is.
Right.
I feel like you're saying two things at once. You're saying, they should, they should be free to say and do what they want, except for these things, but also the government can't tell them what to say. Well, that's...
Well, not exactly. I'm not against regulation. I think
Right.
regulation is important, but I think there can be over-regulation. So my point is
Well,
we
when
do
you
have...
say turn it to a utility, what do you mean by that? Because I interpret that as being the same as power and electric.
It is. Or your phone system, like a phone service, like your
right,
your
but
wireless
utility
service.
implies,
Yeah,
implies owned by the government. That's what
no,
utility.
No,
well,
utilities are owned by the government, but they
can be.
They can be.
They
but
should-
they're-
they
by
shouldn't be.
definition, what is a utility?
well, like your cell phone's a utility.
Well, I know examples, but what is a utility?
What's something that we all use? It is regulated. Our whole society is regulated based on the laws.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is on a base level regulated by all of our current laws and the Constitution. So if you have like a cell phone, you can't, like, there's no one is censoring your phone. Like if you said something on a phone call that some political party or some individual didn't like, or someone at Verizon didn't like, they're not going to stop your phone call or block your phone calls or turn off your phone. Like it's a utility. So they don't give a shit what you're talking about. You just talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's your phone. Now, if you do something illegal on your phone, then you can get in trouble for that. But we have laws that deal with that. It'd be the same thing with social media. Say whatever you want to say. If you're a crazy person, you want to say a bunch of crazy shit, say it. I want to see it. I want to see what you have to say. I don't have to agree with it. I think it's very important as a society that we all treat each other as adults and we let people be idiots that are idiots so we can confront them and we can have a response to that statement or whatever they do. And also, it's from a bigger perspective, I look at all of us as a collective. We're all some type of collective consciousness. We're all trying to figure it out. So I think even hearing the bad ideas can be important because we're all trying to figure out how this thing works and how to go in a positive direction. And I think you need to hear the bad ideas to make the good ideas make more sense. So it's when you start to censor, when a corporation has the ability to censor an entire society, I think that's dangerous because you're messing up the pendulum. You're messing up the whole aspect of creativity and discovery and ideas, good or bad. And I think we need to see the bad ideas. We need to see the good ideas, but we also need to respect each other as adults and try to work together. And I think when you have these issues that censor people or divide people, it just causes more problems than the person with a bad idea. Mm-hmm. So that's why if we could have a regulation of these large tech companies that have social media platforms, which are basically monopolies, that are that's not good either. Then at least at that level, people can say whatever they want to say, unless they're doing something illegal, and we have laws that deal with that. But if someone has a bad idea, I want to see their bad idea. I want everybody to see their bad idea.
Well, that's the way it is now.
Sort of. It's not though, because now these tech companies can censor things like the COVID stuff, like with the idea that COVID came out of a lab. Now that's it's a very viable theory now in the scientific community. But 6 months ago, if someone said that, they would remove their post, and I think that's crazy. And you had reliable scientists making comments that were being censored. That's not okay.
I know there was a lot of COVID-related censorship, but I know that I don't think the lab leak theory was part of what was, because that doesn't really affect like now.
No, it was a thing, and
Okay.
and also people saying negative things about Dr. Fauci. Mm-hmm. Like for me, I try not to look at scientific issues as political things. I try to look at them just strictly from a scientific basis. And I'm an independent too, so I don't like politics. I think it's, in some aspects, it's designed to divide people. But when I look at an issue like the COVID issue, I think about where the interests lie. Like who's making money on what, Why, what are people's intentions? What are their motives? What are their interests? How are they making money? Who's making money? What benefits who? And that's that's when and so I'm not a conspiracy theory guy either. And I think most things that are corrupt are not conspiracies. They're just corruption, or just business.
Right.
On
Most of the
some
time,
levels.
these corruption and business things aren't conspiracies. They're just things working the way they were designed to work.
But when you have people that have a lot of power, they can manipulate the conversation, and that scares me. When you have giant corporations that control everyone's information, that's a scary thing. That's why I think those companies should be free to do business, but at the same time, if they have that much influence, they should be required to have their service considered a utility. That way, they can't go in and manipulate the information.
Yeah, and so just real quick, the definition of utility is an organization supplying the community or a community with electricity, gas, water, sewage, etc., similar. So basically, it's an organization providing a service to a community, a broad section, right?
Which is what they are.
Yeah.
It's basically a telecommunications community.
Yeah. So I like that. Like, the phone company, it doesn't give the right for the phone company to come in to listen to your phone conversations and censor your phone conversation.
Right.
And that's, if we talk about like Facebook or Instagram, what Facebook and Instagram doing, they're coming into your conversation, they're censoring your conversation. So
Right.
I don't take whichever political view you disagree with most, including me. Mm-hmm. Take whatever the view that is. What I hate the most, I still want to hear it. They should still be legally allowed to say it.
Yeah.
I want to protect people's speech I don't agree with because it protects my speech as well.
And it can go both ways. It depends on.
And again, they are legally allowed. Like
they're legally allowed
right now. They are, yeah.
Well,
they can censor anything right now legally.
Legally, they can censor. That's
the
problem.
I think.
Because basically,
the problem is that Facebook is allowed to censor people.
100%.
Yes, yeah,
100%.
But it's their company, it's their house.
It is, but
it's
it's like a utility though, because everyone has it. So in the United States,
what do you do if Verizon or AT&T starts listening to your phone call and starts disconnecting your phone call when you're having a conversation?
when you say something they don't like you to say, and that's the problem. Is it's a corporation. So today maybe it agrees with your viewpoints on things, but tomorrow it may not. And that's the danger. Is no corporation that has that much influence should be able to control the conversation. It's very problematic. It leads to tyrannical ideas or tyrannical circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tyrannosaurus.
Well, a good idea, a good thing would be take whatever popular opinion is right now, that you might agree with, and turn Facebook against it or Instagram against it, and now you can't make a post that you think is perfectly rational, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't think that you should be able to be in a relationship. A man and a woman should be able to be in a relationship. Take some extreme position, and let's say that was their position. They could attack every position that didn't agree with that. I think that becomes a thing. It's like AT&T censoring my phone call, like listening into my phone call. I think it's just dangerous. That's the key.
It's really when someone says you can't say something or you can't question something, that's always a scary idea. You know what I mean? Like those things are what lead to tyranny. And they always have in the past. Like with kingdoms and stuff like that, you weren't able to question the king or question society or question the rules. Right. Our strength lies in our ability to question everything. And actually, even as comedians are so important because they question everything. We question everything is a why. Like why do they do this, or why does this work this way, or why do we think this is right, or why do you think this is a good idea? Or we're breaking things apart and showing people how they work, and I think we have to do that as a society with everything because we want to get better, like we want to reach it, or most of us want the same things. We want to have plenty of food, a good place to live. We want to have a good life for our family. We want to have all of our basic needs, and we want to reach a level in society where we have those things, where we can eliminate things like poverty and suffering, and I think in order to do that, you have to ask questions. You have to allow people to freely speak and have conversations.
I think you're right, especially like we could be in danger of like some of the new technologies that are great that are coming out. Well, if you had a tyrannical society, like say with like the chips in people's brains or
like
something
China.
like that, or like China,
yeah.
But to a vast technological degree, and they're on the upswing with technology.
For sure,
but,
yeah.
If you have something where you have control over actual people's minds over a vast kind of thing, that can be
Could be
not
a nightmare.
good.
Yeah.
Depending on who you are.
Yeah, China concerns me.
Yep.
You know, like if they are very technologically advanced, and if they were able to develop some type of AI technology that was much more powerful than any human mind, but not sentient, so they could completely control it, they could conquer the world. You know, those are the real fears out there. But yeah, anything that prevents you from asking questions or questioning everything is a problem. Like, we should always be questioning everything, and even science. You know, that's one of the key principles of science is you have to question it. Every theory should be questioned, and that's what scientists do. They come up with a theory that's really solid and factual science. You know, a true theory in science, we look at it as facts, and we should until it's proven otherwise. But that's what scientists do. They constantly try to prove themselves wrong because that's how you learn new things. You know, we'll learn the more we learn about one topic, the less we know about everything else. So, and that's what you want, because we're just adding layers of complexity.
All right, here's what it is. And you're right. The idea that Facebook has grown too large because you can say what you want on the internet. I can register patmcleodthoughts.com and I can go to town.
Well,
Sort of, but then
starting- they're
Google can
starting-
block you, though.
they're starting to block your websites too.
Here's a good example. So,
And they're having the internet providers are starting to block service to homes where they've been reported. So you're right, but you're
and
but
they've
there's this
tried to
line
pass.
that's
They were trying to pass some legislation to censor text messages, which is scary. But regardless of all that,
we're on the border of trying to censor everything. So then you don't have access to the internet because they're trying to say, well, you don't have freedom of speech doesn't mean you get freedom of speech on the internet.
well,
So
also
like there's a whole lot of stuff that's right there on the cusp of extreme censorship. So literally, if you have an opinion that's unpopular, could be right? And everybody that's for it right now, let's say 80 million people are for it and 70 million people are against it. I don't know where I got that math, but let's just say that's the number. What happens when the 80 million people that are for it, all of a sudden somebody else is in power and something starts changing to where those 80 million people that they start pitching a different view? Like, let's say that you're for, let's say you're open for like the lesbian, BIQ, the LGBTQ community, and all of a sudden the new leader of Facebook decides that that's a sin and they don't like it, right?
Yeah.
And they start to censor them, and then they start changing the narrative to where they're only going to publish negative information, and anything positive they're going to block. Like, if you take everybody that thinks it's a good thing and you flip it to where all of a sudden the censorship is against them, they're going to hate it. And that's the key, is even if the things I don't agree with, they should be allowed to be said, because if I censor them, then eventually I can be censored myself.
It happens in history throughout
Yeah.
all time. Like, it makes me kind of think a little bit about like the Knights Templar. They were the Google of medieval Europe, but then
Yeah.
in like not a very short time, everybody was trying to kill all of them.
well, just look at our society 30 years ago. There were only like 5 networks, so all of our information and news came from just a few sources, and they controlled the narrative. So now we have
And they
the
were
advantage.
owned by corporations.
Yeah, they're owned by huge corporations. They all work together. But today we actually have the ability to share information freely with each other. That's what makes us so powerful individually. That gives us individual empowerment, which is very important in I think, in avoiding tyranny, avoiding suffering, and moving forward as humanity. The more individual empowerment we can have for all of us, the better we'll be. Because it's hard to lie to people when you have just infinite amounts of information in your pocket. But there are power structures that want to prevent that, and they want to take that away because they're losing their grip on power. And so, like, a good example of the stuff we're talking about now is the ivermectin thing. So several months ago, like 6-8 months ago, do you know who Brett Weinstein is? He's a scientist. He's a really well-respected scientist, biologist. He went on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he said some stuff about this drug ivermectin, and he said there were some studies that showed that it was being really effective at combating coronavirus or COVID-19. And there was nothing political behind his statement. It was just based on some studies that had been done and some current research that was ongoing that was showing that it had some positive effects on treating early stage COVID infections. And suddenly he got blasted and censored because of those statements, and then most of the media and a lot of other politicians and so forth were making comments, and you've heard comments about people taking animal drugs and all this stuff. Well, that's nonsensical, because that drug has been used for decades all over the world, and it's been prescribed billions of times and successfully used to treat certain types of parasitic infections and stuff like that. And when I see something like that, I think, okay, well, what's the motive behind this? Why are people so adamantly against this, and why is this narrative being created? Well, if you think about it, pharmaceutical companies, they have to get something approved for emergency use. There can't be any other treatments. So, number one, these multi-billion-dollar companies are going to fight with everything they have to prevent anything from that's going to block their new treatment from passing. So, like, even though the vaccines are free, the pharmaceutical companies that make them are making billions of dollars off those vaccines, because it's guaranteed. It's government money. It's our tax money. Mm-hmm. And then, so they're going to block anything that's going to interrupt that. But this past weekend, I got a news notification, and I read the article, and it was actually from National Geographic. Had an article about a new medication that Merck just made. It's a tablet they just created, an antiviral tablet that seems to be very effective at treating COVID. And I was like, that's really interesting, because all this stuff with ivermectin has been squashed and slammed. That's the narrative. Ivermectin's bad. You're an idiot if you take it, although it's been safely prescribed billions of times. It has very few side effects, and it may be very effective at treating COVID. And it was originally created by Merck. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I wonder how similar this new medication is to that one. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, Merck's been developing this new medication to treat COVID. If someone says that this other thing works well, that's generic now, they can't make any money off of it. There's no incentive. So I Googled it. Nothing came up. It was just, and this is the censorship thing, nothing came up about a comparison between this new drug and ivermectin. There was nothing there. It was all just articles about this new drug for pages. I went on to DuckDuckGo, which is not censored. It doesn't track you and all this stuff. It's like the opposite of Google. And I put in the same search, and it immediately showed comparisons between these two drugs. They're very similar. And it even discussed how Merck was the company that created ivermectin originally. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I'm like, well, this is not a conspiracy. It's just business interest. Yeah. It's just they have billions of dollars on the line, and they're not going to they invest millions of dollars in PR firms. And I think the number one political contributors are pharmaceutical companies. So it's people we're so easily influenced by narratives and information instead of just, everybody can do this. It took me 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. I think you should. We're for some reason today we're being told not to question things, but we should question everything. And anybody that tells you, "Oh, don't question that," that makes me question it. It's like, why do you not want me to question it? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Don't push that red button.
And why is there so much fucking profit in medicine? Or at least it's fine if there's profit in medicine, but don't let those people be the ones that create the narrative. Like the company that was behind most of the censorship information on social media was funded by Pfizer. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's just business stuff. It's like you need to rein in the power that these companies have, and the people that are making these decisions on what the media is putting out should be scientists. They should be people that aren't affiliated with these companies. We should have boards of people that don't have a bias, and that's right
there. That's the hard part.
It is. Yeah, like Anthony Fauci is the worst person to be leading the argument on COVID.
He should be a spokesman. He should just be scientist stuff.
Well, yeah, but he shouldn't be the head spokesman
No.
for COVID stuff because he's too involved.
Yeah.
Like he's got too much interest in that field of that study. Like he's raised millions of dollars for the study of bat coronaviruses and the science behind modifying these viruses. And what is it called? It's gain of function research.
Mm-hmm.
And even like apparently there's a lab in Chapel Hill that is a part of that too. So anybody that's working with those labs shouldn't be making these decisions. We should have somebody that can be objective and non-biased. And we should have not just one person. We should have a team of these people that work together to give us information.
Well, if they're not working directly with it, then where are they getting their opinions from?
They can work with them, but it shouldn't be somebody that's directly involved in the process.
I think Fauci's benefiting financially.
Yeah,
and I hate to use him as an example. He's a political hot button right now. But
Right.
people
Yeah, sure.
like that. So a good example of this is, let's say that I work for Google. There are laws that prevent me from buying and selling my stock. Right. I have
Right.
disclosures. Right. Especially if I'm high enough up the food chain, I have to publicly disclose. Same thing with politicians that sell stock, because it's possible that I receive information that can change my decision about something that the public is not aware of, right?
Although they do it all the time.
They do it all the time. But there are disclosure rules, and they have to disclose, I think politically, they have to disclose within 30 days. So most of them wait. I think the average response is 28 days later. So they'll make a decision based on information they have, and then they have to publicly disclose it. That way the information is, in theory, available to the public, but they have up to 30 days to do it. And they show statistically where these politicians are outperforming everybody else, and it's because they know what bills are about to pass, they know what financial effect that may have on certain companies.
What's Dick Cheney?
Yep. So
It's the biggest example.
But so if you look at it, if you start treating this community that regulates science, right, and you have somebody that profits from that industry, then there's got to be some type of regulation to say, well, wait a second. How can the guy that profits off this and is involved in whatever the research is, whether it's related to COVID or anything else, be the one that also makes the rules and the one that also paints the narrative, the one that also says, well, this is what it is? And we got to take COVID out of it because that's a political hot button, and just look at it as it's anything else.
Right,
if it's any type of medicine,
Any conflict of interest.
any conflict, right? If I was, let's get a good example, North Carolina lottery. If I worked for the North Carolina lottery, I can't win the lottery. There's a conflict.
Actually, if you work for the North Carolina lottery, you could win it like every week.
Oh, you could physically,
Yeah.
but that's why you're not allowed.
Just buy the ticket that you know is the winner.
You should read. You should read the disclosures.
I'm gonna get a job with the
your
lottery.
immediate family, everybody, because they're trying to prevent a conflict. So if I'm the executive for the North Carolina lottery and I win $20 billion, it's going to be a massive red flag and it'll piss a lot of people off, even if there's no ill intent.
Yeah.
And you look at like sweepstakes, prizes, promotions, giveaways. You start to look like there's reasons they're not allowed to benefit, and it's
Like the thing that happened with McDonald's years ago.
yeah. So I think that's the problem is that you've got somebody that is telling everybody what to do or giving them information that could be benefiting from it financially, right? And him, his wife, etc. So, and again, we had to get away from the COVID because it's such a political, and just think in broad terms. Like if you're an executive at Coke and you win Coke's sweepstakes pop top for $10 million, like it's a problem, right? There's some type of insider information. You might have manipulated the system, etc. Like they do things to prevent that. And I think we've just got to transition that and apply that to everything.
And that's information. Keeping information free and available to everybody, no matter what the information is what's so important.
I like what you said the other day. We'll get off this the more politically stuff, but like Tesla, I really like that a lot of their information is open source. Excuse me, that was good. Burped. But I really like that their information is open source, right? And what's his name said, the owner of Tesla?
Oh, Elon Musk.
Elon said he's like, if they can use that and they can take my own information and they can go out and they can create and do something better than I can, I deserve to lose. And he's like, really? By the time it's put on and it's open source, he said they're copying old information.
Yeah.
And he said, if I am not innovative enough as a company to continue pushing forward, then I deserve to be dethroned. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Now, the capitalist side of me the business side of me goes, that doesn't make good business sense on some level because you want to have a competitive advantage. But what he's basically saying is you can have a competitive advantage and keep producing. And what this does is allows your competition to also be innovative. And if there was a thing about turnover, about disruption in your industry, and it used to be, how long, 60 years or something?
Yeah, something like that. But now it's maybe
15
years.
Yeah, it's 15 years, and they were
it's
talking
decreasing
about
rapidly.
They're talking about the disruptions in the companies that are making all this money. Think like Sears, you know, how they were dethroned. Like these companies would be on top of the world for 60 years. That was the average. Now it's down to 15, 16 years, and they're talking about going down to like 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's from innovation. So, like, I think these things all lead towards a better world economy eventually, but we just got to figure out how to play nice. Like, and what does play nice mean? I think we just got to be real careful that, I mean, let's say that you're against Donald Trump. We'll use him, okay? What would you do if Donald Trump got to censor and apply his beliefs and his views, some of which are very extreme, to everybody and every Facebook, every Instagram, every account, and he got to paint the narrative? And every time somebody else put up a story that he didn't like, he could take it down, right? Like, that's the problem. Like, take an extreme person and let them be in control. And see, right now everybody's okay with it because, for the most part, there's enough people that agree with it that they're okay. But once you give over power, once something is allowed to take place and you're allowed to take freedoms away, who's to say that the majority is not the next target once that takes place? And that's what scares me. I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is I think even opinions I don't agree with, I'd still like to see them.
Yeah.
Right.
And also what you bring up the thing about how long is your company viable? That goes back to my earlier point about how technology decentralizes everything, which is a good thing. You know, it's decentralizing power. It's breaking up power structures. So I think in the future, and technology is exponential, so this stuff's happening rapidly. And I think probably from Elon's mind, he thinks, well, if I try to be greedy and just keep it all to myself, all this information, I'm going to lose because it's not going to evolve as rapidly as it would if I put it out there. And other minds share the information. And I think we'll reach a point in society where we share everything so we can keep innovating, because eventually innovations will be so fast that we can't even comprehend it. You'll have new innovations every hour. Mm-hmm. You have breakthrough science happening every hour, maybe every second.
Well, the phones are going to have to become free if that happens. I'm just
they saying. Will, yeah. All technology will probably become free. And
no, I've had like 10 innovations in the last 5 minutes. I just feel the dopamine rush and I move on. That's how that goes.
We've got to figure out how to plug your brain into the rest of the system.
I agree.
Yeah.
Neuralink.
Just to circle back to Facebook and censorship.
Sure.
I think the problem with this conversation is the idea that all unpopular opinions are equal. Like, I want to see all the unpopular opinions. Like, I don't want to see a Facebook post about how child molestation is okay.
No, I don't think they're equal.
Well, that's been the thing is I want all the opinions out there. I want the good, the bad. It should all be put out there.
It should be.
If I want to see it.
It's all a collective mind. If you look at I think
it shouldn't be. There are so many ideas that shouldn't see the light of day.
I like exactly what you're saying, right? I like exactly what you're saying, and that's based off your opinion that it's a bad thing, right?
Right.
So you would say that an article that is against child molestation is a good thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, but by your same definition, if someone has the control to dictate what's good and what's bad, what's to say they don't go, I don't like any article that is against child molestation, so I'm going to ban every single article against child molestation. You're going to go, well, no, they would never do that. Well, they can legally do it.
Yeah, it
if I'm in power and I'm pro that thing that you think is great, and I say I don't think
that's just a slippery slope argument.
Well, it's a slippery slope.
Oh, it's definitely both ways.
But
what about lesbian, gay? Like,
well, the thing
wasn't
is,
that
I think
regulated?
most reasonable people feel the way you do about the topic.
I agree.
But you want to see the people who don't feel that way too. Now, if someone does something illegal, there's laws that deal with that person. But you want to see if you want to see people's ideas, whether they're good or bad, so we can all see them collectively. And we can all correct that person. We can all be like, "Hey, that you're crazy. That's a terrible idea. You're a terrible person,
and you're an idiot."
And
because the
and
police are going to
99
start watching you for writing a pro molestation. Now, you're at risk of violating a law.
99% of our society thinks you're an idiot, and this is why.
Yep.
But you can say whatever you want to say. But there's strength in that too for all of us. And I think, I look at the internet. It's just all the internet is. It's a link between all of our minds. It's really the mind of humanity. So we're taking all of our ideas and we're dumping them in this pile of information. Eventually, we'll be directly connected to that.
All right, here's the problem with that. Like, the idea of like, we should be, put all the ideas. If we do, we should allow pro-child molestation articles on Facebook. The problem is, and I've seen a lot of this in the last 4 years, once an idea is allowed out there, it gains validity.
There are people that would say that's what's happened with LGBTQ becoming so popular because it was allowed to get out there. So would you say that being allowed to get out there was a negative or a positive?
I would say that's a positive.
There you go. But other people tried to censor it, right?
Hold on.
Who's the one doing the censoring is the problem.
Right.
I agree with you, by the way.
You let people say
but
they want to
who's
say
doing
it.
the censoring?
So here's, and I know we keep going, well, here's the lefty example, here's the righty
well,
example.
I'm not even talking politics.
Not even,
but
yeah.
well, I'm going to make it political again. The January 6th riot, the election, because we let all the opinions out there, because you can post an article saying that Trump actually won the election. Now that is a legitimate viewpoint. It gained enough legitimacy that it's not even like a fringe group of people. Now there's I think I saw 60% of Republicans believe the election was stolen. That's problematic, and that's going to hurt the overall function of society.
Maybe so, but at the same time, the whole conversation's not out there either. So you need to have the entire conversation. So if parts of the conversation are being manipulated, then the whole conversation is not there. You need to let the entire conversation be had amongst all people and not censoring people. They should have never taken Trump. I don't like Trump, but they shouldn't have taken him off social media because
it fueled the whole opposition.
It just causes more problems. Let the guy say whatever the fuck he wants to say, whether it's completely insane, just so we can all see it and respond to it. I think that's important.
Biden just said too about Russia, about Vladimir, about the thing that his election was stolen. He just made all the allegations that they made against him to the Russian president. Mm-hmm. So it's not unique to Republican versus Democrat.
Well, there's always these arguments.
Had Trump won,
our voting system is
terrible,
crazy anyway. We should all be voting digitally.
Yeah, had Trump won, 80 million people approximately would have said that he stole the election.
Sure. Right. It goes both ways.
So
whoever's nonsense,
whoever's in power during that moment, go back to 1950, 1960, go back each decade.
No, wait, Trump did win, and in 2016, Trump won, and
we heard about it for 4 years. I heard about it. You didn't hear about it? I heard about it all the time.
Yeah, I heard it.
People heard about it all the time.
Not on the same. I don't know a single person.
Well, not on the same. It wasn't as divisive.
Who
back
feels
then.
Exactly Democrats are mad as shit, but I don't know that there's a body of Democrats that feels the 2016 election was rigged. I don't know that.
I've heard about it. I've heard about it.
Not on
years.
this level. Not on
this level. But I would also argue that politics. We weren't as politically divided in 2016 as we were in 2020.
Well, I don't think.
22.
There's a lot of fuckery with politics too, though. As far as the elections, nobody. I don't think the majority of our society really wanted Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be our options either. I think there were a lot better options.
Oh no, for sure.
And I think that we've got to fix the way our system works. We've got to fix the way the voting works. We need to have
a dance off.
Yeah, I
read your mind. I knew that's where you were going.
Exactly.
And I think if we go back, and I don't like that Trump was so divisive.
We should have.
There's a lot of things I don't like about him. Right?
We need open primary elections.
I don't like a lot of things about Biden. I don't. It has nothing to do with his political views. Right now, there's a whole lot of other things where I feel like he's being manipulated. Personally,
I honestly feel like he was the best candidate in terms of hair sniffing.
Yeah,
probably so. Yeah,
if that's the metric, nobody else can sniff hair like him.
100%.
I've never seen anyone. Yeah, on his level.
I can feel him smelling my hair now, and I don't have any, and he's not here. That's how good he is.
Yeah. I don't know. This is the thing is, how do you have this conversation and you go, well, it's the slippery slope argument. But if you look at unpopular opinion, what was unpopular in the 50s and 60s and 70s is now popular today. And it took decades because of censorship. It took decades for those things and those beliefs and those thoughts to permeate throughout the United States. Right. And there was oppression of LGBTQ, and that's just a LGBTQT, that whole community because of that censorship. And all I'm saying is that we are to the point we are today because we've been fighting censorship. And yet now we're at a turning point and we're trying to allow censorship. If some idiot puts up a pro-child molestation article, they could be in violation of United States law, first of all. Secondly, it's a massive red flag. Like you've literally just said.
I don't think they'd be in violation of freedom of speech, but they would definitely be watched. They should be watched.
100%. Well, that's what I'm saying. At minimum, they're doing a red flag. Like, hey, look at me. Like, and anybody that follows that now I'm going. Oh, okay, wait a second.
And people stay away from those people. Like this, it's how we gauge.
If people go on and start spewing crazies, I've got family that says some crazy things, and I'm like, okay, for me. I don't believe it. I'm just like, I need to stay away from that person.
Yeah.
Right? The prisons are full of people that have crazy thoughts. I'm not at risk of...
They're also full of people that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's true.
I've got it. I know something that'll solve all of our problems. Everything. It's all solved.
All right, let me hear it.
Basically, you've got to force children. That's already bad. The sentence. To play Sid Mead's Civilization for a good decade. They try all the variations, but they learn about how things work together.
Is it not Sid Meier?
Oh, yeah, maybe it is Sid Meier. Yeah.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it. Yeah.
I got it.
There is no post. Anyway.
Hey, do you have to get out of here?
I do here shortly. Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I think in the spirit of what you're saying, I agree, but I'm just worried that the wrong people get in power and they start censoring things that I don't want to go backwards. And companies like Facebook and Instagram have a lot of control, and all it takes is another billionaire. It takes Zuckerberg to die, his kids inherit the shares, one of those children to have a different belief, one of them to be a capitalist, the other one's to be very giving. They give away their money and their fortune. The one that's the capitalist acquires those shares. He has control of Facebook. He changes the direction of the company because he believes differently. It's a private company. He has the right to do that, and now he's censoring. So it's okay today. Everybody's like, oh, this is an extreme example, but it's very possible. That's what happens.
It's happened forever.
Yeah, I mean,
it's all the worst things that have ever happened to humanity in history have all been done by some tyrannical government or individual.
No, it's just a fear.
It's how power works. Power to me is like, when I see power, I see fear of losing resources until it becomes like an obsession, and it destroys all innovation and creativity and opportunity, and it leads to suffering. It eventually collapses, but it takes a lot of people with it, and it's never good. And I think we need to reach a level where, and honestly, I think our Constitution is pretty decent in a lot of ways. On the base level, our Constitution basically says you should be able to do whatever you want to do as long as you're not negatively affecting other people's rights. So it treats us all equally as adults, and that's important. But I think when it comes to things like our monetary system, our currency, and stuff like that, it's heavily flawed. And I think those are the areas we really need to focus on, because we could create a society today where we could eliminate poverty, and you could have unlimited opportunities. You could, because you can be extraordinarily successful and wealthy but not have power. And that's what you want. You want people to have unlimited opportunities, but you want to prevent power structures from getting a hold of society or portions of society. Because the more successful we are as a society, the better our society will be. And actually, as humanity as a whole, the more innovative and creative we can be, and if we can eliminate things like poverty and suffering, then we'll all do better. The whole society will do better. The people that do well will do even better, and the people that aren't doing well will be doing good. And that's what we want to get to, And I think we just have to work together to do that.
And I think we're going to have you on again so we can talk about
we need
something
to
other than
this
bullshit. It went a left turn.
Didn't
Like
expect
I was
this.
planning to just talk about cum the whole time. Like that. Like I
think that's a good
I
idea.
was like,
Well,
You know,
you
and
guys ever be coming?
yeah, I definitely. I this
mean,
morning,
comes.
last night, yesterday morning, I think I may have a problem like 2 or 3 times a day. Sometimes, you know, it's just I should be skinnier. I think.
just always have an orgasm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I've ever come in grass. Like if I've been outside and just on a field somewhere, and I don't think I have.
That's a good point.
I got to do that.
Is that a bucket list?
Have you ever
It is.
dropped cum
Yeah.
on the floor by accident and your dog lick it up? Yeah, that sucked. I had that happen yesterday.
How do you drop it by accident?
Well, I mean, I wanted it to go in the hole, and it just
The
and when
hole?
when I
Are you trying to shoot at a 3-pointer or something?
yeah.
That doesn't
And,
work.
He's got like the basketball hoop that people have in the office.
and I pull out and it drips on the floor, and I'm like, oh shit, I'll get that in a second. And then here comes the dog like that,
I don't
and he
have
licked
a dog.
it up.
I have a ferret and a 3-legged bunny rabbit.
That's not a dog. That's a problem solver.
That is a problem. But I mean, I kind of feel disgusted because that dog licks me with that tongue up, occasionally, and now I'm. So long story short, I can't kiss my dog anymore, and he's gonna have to have his teeth brushed.
Pretty sure there's worse things than cum, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That dog, especially dogs, like they
Trips
eat a
me
lot
out
of
a little
shit.
Like
Typically.
honestly, even worse than cum is the stranglehold that Facebook has on society right now. Do you have any thoughts on that, guys?
Oh, I'm cool with it.
No comment.
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. As long as the opinions don't change, right?
Like, I'm changing my profile picture to cum right now.
Yes.
Well, dude, it's been awesome having you on, man. We'll definitely have you back
We got-
on
yeah, we gotta do
to
it
talk
again.
about some funny stuff.
All right, yeah.
And,
I like your shirt. I've been wanting to talk to you about your shirt the whole time.
No, I got this today. One of my students had this exact shirt on, and I'm a huge Popeye the Sailor fan. Like,
Definitely.
to the point, I was on a podcast with Mike Rinaldi and Clayton Wick a few weeks ago, talking just about Popeye for an hour and a half. And so I saw my student wearing the shirt, and I was like, I got to have it. And she's like, oh, I got it at City Trends on Florida.
I like it.
Which is where I got the hat, too. I walked in there, and so now I got this cool-ass shirt.
I love the
Awesome.
shirt. Actually,
It is cool.
I do. We should have spent some good time talking about that. I love some Popeye. So
So
I
how
only
can people,
mentioned Facebook just for the hits. Back to you, Neil.
yeah.
how can people follow you on social media?
Facebook. Like I'm on. It's mostly just child molestation.
okay, yeah,
Articles like jokes and stuff. And,
Yeah.
and
Are you on it?
No. It's I'm on Instagram. Instagram and TikTok. I've been cranking out some TikToks lately.
Oh, yeah?
In fact, I'm gonna take this whole episode. I'm gonna go to YouTube and slice it into 1-minute chunks.
I like it.
And just put the whole thing, even if it cuts off in the middle of a word, they can click the next video, the next word's right there.
There you go.
Because I think that's the format we need is just like 90 1-minute TikToks.
Just all clickbait. Yeah, that's good.
I like
Kidding.
it.
So, what's your handle on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook?
On both TikTok and Instagram, it's pie, like the dessert, .incognito. Pie incognito.
I kind of like
Okay,
that.
cool.
It's
Has it to do with math pie or something else?
there was a episode of The Simpsons where Homer was kicked out of Moe's, and this guy comes in and he looks exactly like Homer with this cheesy mustache, and he said, "My name is Guy Incognito."
Oh,
And the joke was that it actually was a different person. It wasn't Homer, because then Homer walks by and said, "Hey, that's my exact double." And so I just changed it to Pie Incognito.
oh, cool.
So
And what on Facebook? It's just Pat McLeod.
yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on. We'll have
Definitely.
you back. And if you guys enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow Pat on social
Yes.
media and like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye, guys.
All
Bye.
right. Theme music out.
Yeah. This will be the episode that goes viral.
Businessmen, they're so creative with their businesses.
I love it.